an internationally known research scientist. He is also well known to many in the graduating class. He's a respected member of the faculty of the University of Florida. We're continuing a practice to take advantage at least once each year of the abundant talent that exists here, rather than to go off campus for every commencement speaker. A speaker joined the University of Florida faculty in 1950. After 4 years in the Department of Biology, he moved to Duke University. He has served as director of the University of Texas's Institute of Marine Science, as chief scientist and professor at the Nuclear Center at the University of Puerto Rico, and as a member of the faculty at North Carolina Chapel Hill. He returned here in 1970 and is currently the director of the Center for Wetlands, a multidisciplinary research effort established in 1973 with significant grants from the Rockefeller and the National Science Foundations. He's been described as one of the most penetrating, holistic thinkers alive today. His complex net energy theory has focused national attention on him and is attracting worldwide support among energy experts. With his brother Eugene, our speaker received the International Prize for Outstanding Research from the Institut de la Vie in Paris. An international jury, including many Nobel laureates from 29 countries, chose the brothers for the honor based on, quotation, the global impact of their work. Just earlier this week, day before yesterday, he was honored by the American Institute of Biological Sciences by being made by receiving the Distinguished Service Award at that time. He's recently been named the 1978-79 Teacher Scholar of the Year, the highest annual honor the University of Florida bestows on a faculty member. He is the respected author of 2 major books and over 170 scientific papers and articles. It's my great personal pleasure to present to you Dr. Howard T. Odum, Distinguished Research Professor of Environmental Engineering Sciences. Dr. Odum.
Graduating students, parents, faculty, Mr. President, leaders of Florida and the nation. Today, let us consider the energy basis for the future and the way you graduates as individuals can stay adapted to the changes ahead. Maybe it was Pogo or Charlie Brown who was asked why he walked along looking backwards. He says, how can I see where I'm going if I can't see where I've been? Charlie Brown's uncertainty is ours. How do we know which way to lead? Often we prepare for the battles of yesteryear with plans that worked last time. New conditions arriving unannounced often cause failure. In 1860, the southern region in the war between the states tried to match agrarian economy against one newly powered by water, fuels, and city-based industry. Because of this changing energy pattern, the South was preordained to lose. The graduates in the 1840s had learned classics, but not enough about the way energy supports civilizations. Few people understood the meaning of the outcome. In 1945, the U.S. was using half the world's energy flow. The graduating classes in those days formed an opinion about how much geography the U.S. power could dominate. But by 1965, the relative use of the world's energy had dropped to 1/3 for the U.S., 2/3 for the rest of the world. The leaders with attitudes formed earlier attempted actions in Vietnam that may have been possible in 1945, but not in 1965, after the base of energy had shrunk. There were failures for lack of understanding of our energy basis. As we have to dig deeper and deeper to get oil and coal and go further and further away at sea in Alaska, a greater and greater part of the economy goes into getting and processing of energy. There is less net energy to run the rest of the economy. The price of energy and all things derived from it rises disproportionately. For the same amount of circulating money, real work done is less. Part of inflation is due to decreasing net energy. So growth slows down and the economy levels. The price we have to pay for imported energy depends on the net energy at home. As we have to pay more to dig deeper, those abroad can raise their prices accordingly. To attempt energy dependence and use up our own fuels now only hastens the rise of prices. The productivity that would have gone for growth goes abroad to balance our payments for oil. Underdeveloped countries with more unused land, water, labor, and minerals can now attract capital away from us, and they can grow until about 1995, along with the OPEC countries, when the world's assets as a whole begin to decline. Because its energies are no longer rich, and because it has so much assets to maintain already, the U.S. growth stops sooner. In the 1940s, we tried to keep Americans on the family farm, while great flows of coal, oil, and gas came to the cities, fueling growth and jobs. Everyone moved to the city, in spite of government policies and programs to keep them on the farm. Soon now, however, fuel flows will be declining, and once again the renewable rural energies will be proportionally more valuable. Opportunities will attract people out, decentralizing the cities. It may have already begun. Will we try to keep the cities subsidized against the real trend? The U.S.'s immediate energy position hinges on its foreign policy. Going almost unnoticed is Carter's brilliant success in bringing Saudi Arabia under the American perimeter so that its oils are available at a lower price. The real price of oil has dropped 21% in the last 3 years, causing the American economy to ripple upward. With Saudi Arabia part of the U.S., our economy crests later. Without it, the economy crests now. However, fighting a major war during declining energies is to be avoided at all costs, even if the war is over energy. The demise of ancient Greece has been attributed to major war during a time of exhausted soils and forests. It is correct that an economy to be vital must grow if there are energies to support growth. But the corresponding principle is also correct, that economies cannot be vital if growth is attempted when energy flows are diminishing. Some fear this regression, but those in ecology are used to observing the growth of forests followed by a leveling stage called climax, which is more harmonious than growth, with better characteristics of cleanliness and cycling, and an even distribution of wealth and quality of life. Now, these matters are controversial, and many have honest differences of opinion, thinking there are alternative energies. And vested interests with billion-dollar government contracts gain by making promises they probably cannot keep. Now, you graduates, to stay adapted, have to consider the possibility, and in my view, the probability, that the assets of the industrial nations, their energy flows, and real gross national product will soon crest and decline, and that of the rest of the world slightly later. This is a stuffed dinosaur, Tyrannosaurus. Now, in the years to come, I want you to remember, will you be like Tyrannosaurus? When changing energy conditions change the rules, will you be ready or go extinct? What about solar and nuclear energies? Because sunlight is so dilute, only 1 calorie remains after 2,000 calories of sunlight are processed and concentrated into fuel. The nation can be supported on renewable solar energy using forests, agriculture, and fisheries for food and fiber, but not at the present level. Either the population must be reduced 1/3 or the standard of living 1/3. Green plants have already maximized conversion of solar energy to useful work using the same process that those who are developing photocells offer as a new substitution. Solar technology is inferior to green plants and is not net energy, for it requires 4 calories to yield 1. Solar technology done in conjunction with necessities such as building homes can save heating energy. It conserves energy, but it does not yield net energy with which to run the economy. Present nuclear energy, with 5,000 degrees of heat in its core, has proved to be a disappointment with less net energy than coal, because so much of its energy is too hot and has to be injected to the environment in cooling waters. Now, the proposed fusion with 40 million degrees temperature at its core will surely take more energy to contain and cool than it yields. That's an opinion. Although we can expect the economy to crest and regress, it is nothing to fear, since the transition can be gradual because of coal reserves that give the U.S. a preferred position after the 1990s. As the nation tightens its belt, its tourists will spend less, its retirees bring less money, and less luxury products will be bought. Florida agriculture will have to diversify and substitute local sales for luxury orange juice and winter vegetables as transportation costs rise. Luxury air conditioning will decrease, and electricity per person will be less as more coal is used to heat houses directly, perhaps coming over from the west in pipeline slurry with Mississippi River water. There are things not to do in a cresting economy, like building great capital-costing central facilities based on an assumption of growth, such as power plants, regional tertiary sewage facilities, more shopping centers, big highways, high-energy mass transit. All this does is raise taxes and utility rates, causing industry and jobs to go elsewhere. There are things to do, like retaining and connecting our wetlands in a web for water conservation, waste recycling, wildlife corridors, and aesthetic buffers. Our Center for Wetlands and Experiments in Gainesville has shown that wetlands absorb microbes, heavy metals, nutrients, and recharge groundwaters, the swamp acting as nature's filter. In a dissertation for a PhD awarded today, Sandra Brown shows 30 to 50% of the water saved with a green swamp, as compared to Florida plans to drain and substitute reservoirs. Cypress trees conserve water. Growth of valuable cypress wood is accelerated 4 times by wastewaters. To the south, a new river of grass from Lake Okeechobee south to the Everglades can process water in a strip 3 miles wide, taking all the nutrients and agricultural backpumping, but providing water to lands on either side. The mucklands will be rebuilt by the plants, and later this strip can be farmed again. An adjacent strip then carrying the waters. Regression means more jobs because less high-energy machines are used. More miniaturized machines are used, smaller buses, trucks, computers, and farm implements. What will be the pattern of life and economy with declining energies? Agriculture and forestry have to use more land, more labor, and less energy-intensive tractors, pesticides, fertilizer. For Florida, with its sandy soils, this means getting the water table back up to help hold its peaty content that holds nutrients. In a doctoral dissertation awarded today, Bert Smith found typical Florida forest grazing lands so depauperate of phosphorus due to removal of nutrients with tree harvesting that regrowth of trees or cattle was hardly possible based on only the tiny nutrients coming in from the rain. And yet 25 feet underground are rich phosphate deposits from millions of years of leaching. We may need to broadcast this phosphate over the entire state instead of selling it to the Soviets so we can run sports cars a little longer. The urban city mess of unemployed youth and crime will start to be solved as a mechanism is found to start a new homesteading, helping these youth to leave the declining cities, build their own cabins, develop new farming communities of a subsistence nature, learning to be proud and versatile like a black man named Quince, under whom I worked on a farm as a boy. In understanding energy, we learned that high-quality things require much energy to make or replace them. 4 coal units are required to make 1 of electricity. Hundreds of calories of coal to make 1 calorie of technological service. And thousands of calories converge in support of 1 calorie of educated human service. Labor is high embodied energy. Now, rationing or artificially pricing fuels will hurt the economy's ability to compete. The place to save energy is in the embodied energy of the luxuries, mainly in the middle and upper income groups. Therefore, energy conservation is best brought about democratically by nationwide get this, cutting of salaries, or letting inflation do it, rerouting those funds to unemployed for work, increasing productivity. Minimum wage needs to be eliminated for those under 21 and over 65 to ensure their proportionate participation in the workforce. Women in the workforce will continue to increase since less children are needed in a time of decreasing population and a regressing economy. Now, high-quality services such as government and higher education will feel the pinch first as energies become expensive because they are at the end of the energy chain. We already feel them. In higher education, we're already starting to plan for lowered resources. For economy, graduate programs have to be clustered so that each program's courses reinforce the others and exceed the minimum critical size. The state cannot support 9 graduate universities, but may have to learn this the hard way with a collapse of quality with students going out of state as they once did. The larger universities, such as this one, can be gradually reduced from their oversize and their playboy roles by diverting those students who are not yet committed to higher education. Grades are the best proof of classroom motivation, not machine-graded tests. To teach more with less requires general education with principles. For example, an introductory freshman course combining energy, economics, environments, and systems could precede other courses, helping everyone to understand changing times and to see the unity of knowledge better. For example, of a principle of broad application, a dissertation from a PhD awarded today, John Alexander shows the pattern common to many situations of the biosphere with a gradual storing of energy which is then consumed in a burst of frenzied consumption. Examples are earthquakes, storms, volcanoes, forest fires, locust epidemics, war. We regard such surges of energy as a disaster, although the pulse usually serves to make the process of the biosphere recycle, better, and compete. Depends on your perspective. A fascinating question then is raised from this that you graduates must think about. Will the magnificent accumulation of world assets of our civilization at its crest be consumed in a frenzied surge of final consumption, returning us catastrophically to the base level of renewable energies, as in the time of Genghis Khan or the spread of Islam? Or is there a better gradual way to regress? During the Civil War, one regiment was observed to be retreating, and the commander was asked, "Why are you going in that direction?" The answer was, "We's advancing backwards." Apparently, the facts of energetics require us eventually to advance by regressing. Americans are always talking about leading the world. My message to the graduates of 1978 is that you have the marvelous opportunity and adventure, like Moses, to lead the world's way over the hill down to a new promised land. Godspeed.